Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the best point guards in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM here on this tier list. We got 39 of the best point guards in the game to rank here. If there's anybody that you feel like I left off the list as we go through the video, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try to let you know where I'd put that card on this list. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 40,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I'm uploading every single day, tons of consistent daily MyTEAM content. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. So first card on the list is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is an S tier point guard. Really good offensive card, super fast jumper, athletic, good finisher, 6'6", versatile defender, really good card. In my opinion, one of the best point guards in my team, and certainly one of my favorite PGs to use. I think he's just really good in every way, can shot create if you need him to, versatile defender, provides that size, like everything you want out of a PG. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gives you at a super high level. I think he's an absolutely top tier card in my team, no doubt at all in my mind, and I have no issues whatsoever putting him here in the S tier. I feel like he's pretty definitively a top 3 or so point guard in the game. Kyle Lowry is fine, but not great. Undersized and can't dunk. That hurts the card. There are some cards worse on this list than him for sure. He's like low B or high C to me. If he was taller or could finish better, I'd be higher on the card, but as is, I think he's B tier. De'Aaron Fox, I guess, is probably low A. Fast jump shot, good athlete, good, I mean, decent defender. He's got okay-ish size, but not great at 6'2". I think he's good. I don't think he's great. I think he's A tier for sure, but definitely not S tier. Russell Westbrook, not Russell Wilson. Russell Westbrook is probably B tier at this point. His jumper's kind of slow. He's an exceptional slasher with good size and a versatile defender, but he doesn't have a high interior rating and his jumper's kind of slow. So I do think you kind of got to put him in that B tier, to be completely honest. Devin Harris, I think, goes C tier, missing some badges. He's not horrible. He's a little better than people give him credit for, actually. Decent jumper, good slasher, like not a bad card, but not a great card either at the PG spot. I think high C tier, probably the fairest spot for him. Tyler Hero feels like an A tier point guard at this point. There's definitely enough guys above him to not put him S tier, but I do think he's good. I think A tier is totally fair, and I think he's one of the top 10 or so point guards in my team for sure. Jamal Crawford, 6'5", decent slasher, fast jump shot, not elite defensively though. He's good. He's not incredible. I think B tier is the right spot for him. Trae Young is our first D tier. Can't slash, horrible defender. Yes, he's a fun 3 hunter, but that's it. He's not good enough to be higher than the D tier. No doubt about it. Devin Booker is a top point guard in the game. Some people would still argue he's the best point guard in my team. Would I personally? Probably not. Do I think he's a really, really good card? Yeah, for sure. I think he's very, very good. Has very few flaws as an overall card in my team, and 100% is a top tier point guard in my team. Definitely S tier for sure. Victor Oladipo is one of my favorite diamond point guards in my team. He's a good, really good slasher. He's got a fast release, and he's a pretty good defender as well, but he does have a pretty low interior rating in his own right, if I remember correctly. I liked this card a lot when I had him, but I haven't used Oladipo on my squad in a while. 48 interior is a flaw for sure. Outside of that, I do like Oladipo as a card, but I think high B is probably the fairest spot for him. And I think Magic's also A tier. He might be S tier. He's one of those ones that's very much on the borderline for me. Depends how you feel about another couple of cards. He could certainly be argued S tier. You know what? I'm putting 6 guys in S tier, and I think Magic is the 6th point guard for me on this list. I don't have a problem putting him in the S tier, honestly. I think he's very, very good, and I think his size is really valuable. Yes, he's not an incredible shot creator. Yes, his jumper's slow, but he's huge, and when he's badged, he's really versatile, and especially on the defensive end of the court, his size is so valuable as well. I think he's got to be S tier. Paul Westphal is a good jumper, 6'5", decent slasher, okay defender. Honestly, pretty similar to Jamal Crawford as a card. I think B tier is probably fair. He's one of the more slept on PGs. I think I actually like him. D'Angelo Russell's not awful, but honestly, he's really poor defensively. That's the biggest issue with this card. He's going to struggle a lot on the defensive end of the court. I think C tier is probably the right spot for him. Tyrese Halliburton, I think, is low A or high B. Honestly, I mean, I like all the guys we've put in A tier above him so far, but I think I like him over all the B tier guys. Once he's fully badged, he's actually very complete. He's 6'5". He's a decent slasher. His jumper's faster than you think if you haven't really used the card a ton. He's actually really solid. A lot of people like Tyrese Halliburton. He was a decent level 40 reward. Not amazing, but not too bad. I think A tier is probably fair. Jason Terry, undersized, bad defender, and honestly not an incredible shot creator, and he can't slash either. I know he's a pink diamond, but he's one of the worst pink diamond point guards for sure. I think C tier is the right spot for him. Jalen Green, a really good slasher, decent defender, fast jump shot, good size or okay size. Not a bad card at all. I think B tier for sure. I actually really like Jalen Green. James Harden. James Harden is a tough one to rank. I think he's S tier, but his defense isn't great. It's not awful. He's 6'5". He's got a good player build. Once he's badged, he's pretty complete defensively. His stats just aren't unbelievable. He does have a 75 interior. He's got a super fast jumper. His SIGs are they leave a little bit to be desired. But I do think he's probably, it's him and Magic are the two last guys in S tier to me. I think he's S tier. I don't love the card, especially for his price. I'd rather go try to get D-Book or, I mean, SGA is not available anymore. A couple other guys, but I think Ty Lawson's really good. I think James Harden's really good. Ty Lawson, on the other hand, not very good. 5'11", not strong defensively, not a slasher, too small to be an elite point guard as well. That's a D tier card for sure. Gary Payton, really good. Arguably the best defensive point guard in the game. Decent slasher, good jumper, solid but not elite movement. He's very solid. He's definitely A tier. I don't believe he's S tier anymore, though. I do think Sidney Moncrief, on the other hand, is S tier, though. He's a top 3 or 4 point guard in the game. Really, really good card. I think very underrated, in all honesty, at the point guard position. Now, he's super expensive because he's an opal, but he's not a card that a lot of people have or a lot of people are talking about, despite the fact that he just came out this past week. And he's also very rare because, again, he's an opal and a Tuesday content drop. But if you do have this Sidney Moncrief card, he's one of the best defensive cards in the game, and he's got a very nice release, great fade, good athlete, like a solid card. Tim Hardaway Jr., Tim Hardaway Sr. would be D tier if not for his jumper being Patty Mills based. He's got one of the fastest jump shots in my team. Outside of that, he's not a truly top tier card, but he is good enough to not be D tier because of that jumper. Ja Morant is A tier. Really great slasher, very fast jumper. The movement leaves a little bit to be desired. Defensively, he's not bad, but he is a little undersized. Pretty good card, though. I think he's A tier. Austin Reeves is also A tier to me. I feel like really solid, but not unbelievable PG. He's like a very budget version of Devin Booker in that he's got an elite fade. He's a decent shot creator, but the SIGs could be a little better. And defensively, he's not top tier. I think A tier is probably the right spot for him, just low in that A tier for Austin Reeves. Mike Bibby is a card that, in all honesty, I'm being totally for real. I have not used this card at all. I don't think he's great, though, because he's not a slasher. Defensively, he has very low interior. He's missing some defensive badges. His jumper, I believe, is good. I mean, Goran Dragic base is good, but I don't think it's good enough to put him out of the C tier. If Devin Harris is C tier, so is Mike Bibby. I think that's totally fair. And honestly, Kyrie is too. Again, a non-dunker is not an elite defender without great size. Like, that's just not going to help. I know his movement's pretty good and his jumper's awesome, but he's still C tier. I think him and Jason Terry are probably 2 of the 3 or so worst PD point guards in the game. I think DeJounte Murray is A tier. I actually really like this card. I think he is good defensively. He's got very solid slashing, a decent release, Curry escape offensively, a really nice versatile point guard. Definitely one of the better budget point guards in my team in terms of a guy you can get for a buyout. He's really good. I think A tier for sure. Luka's fine. I'm going to put him B tier because he's 6'7" mostly. His jumper's not great, and he's not an exceptional defender, but once he's badged, he's pretty complete. His jumper just isn't top tier, and neither is his movement, to be honest, besides his drag back. He's not bad. If he wasn't 6'7", he wouldn't be B tier, though. Let's be totally honest. Mike Conley, also a B tier PG. He is my favorite of the undersized point guards right now, I think, in terms of shot creation. Hey, really good movement, can dunk as well, which is very nice. A lot of the guys in C tier can't dunk, and Mike Conley can. His jumper's very fast. He's a very good perimeter defender. Still struggles on the interior, but I think he's good enough to be in the B tier. Not a bad card. And Damian Lillard, despite the defensive efficiency and efficiency himself, is very good offensively, elite slasher, elite shooter, fast jump shot, and defensively with badges is not horrific. I think B tier is fair for him as well. Tyrese Maxey. I like this card. Honestly, I like him enough to put him in the B tier as well. I know the B tier is starting to get a little oversaturated, but I think Tyrese Maxey deserves to be B tier. Another good slasher with a good fade, fast jump shot, and much better defender than people expect. He's got 85 blocks, 70 interior, which is really solid for a Tyrese Maxey card. Much better than I anticipated he would be on the defensive end of the court. I think he's B tier for sure. Steph Curry is terrible. Like, terrible. He's the worst pink diamond point guard in the game, in my opinion. He can't dunk. He can't defend. He's missing a ton of badges, and his jumper's tougher to shoot this year, and his movement's not as good this year. He's just not nearly as good as you would expect a Steph to be earlier in my team. He's pretty bad. I think he's D tier at this point. I'm not kidding. Darius Garland, really good movement, fast jump shot, still kind of struggles with size and defense, though, and he can kind of dunk, but he's not an elite level slasher. I think he's got a 75 driving dunk. 75. Missing a lot of defensive badges. Not a bad card, but not quite good enough to be any higher than D tier, I don't think. He's not horrible. I mean, sorry, C tier. He's not awful, but he's not great. Donovan Mitchell is C tier as well. Very good slasher, very solid shooter, but movement's not great. Defensively, he's not super great. He's missing a good amount of badges as well. Another guy who's got a lot of low tier badges and a lot of missing badges and is also undersized. I think he's C tier at this point. Chris Paul, is got to be B tier. I think he and Kyle Lowry are very similar cards. Lowry has slightly better badges. CP is a better finisher, has a 60 driving dunk, so he can at least dunk wide open. He plays way too good defensively. Like, his defense is incredible. He's definitely B tier to me. I think he's super solid. I think AI stinks. He's maybe one of the worst point guards in this list for sure. He's not even that fast. I mean, for an AI card, he's a mediocre at best slasher. I think he's got a 65 driving dunk. Not a super high three ball. He kind of sucks. He's not a very good card. Steve Francis is also C tier. Another one of these bad pink diamond point guards with guys like Kyrie and Jason Terry. Just not good enough overall as a card to be any higher than C tier. He's got a slower release. His defense isn't great. His movement besides his size up isn't top tier. He's not that great. Zach LaVine is definitely S tier. I think you could very much make the argument Zach LaVine is still the best point guard in the game. Incredible slasher and an incredible shooter. And he's much better defensively than you'd expect a Zach LaVine card to be. He is without a doubt S tier. Really, really good card. Raymond Felton isn't horrible. He's C tier. He's actually better than you would expect from Raymond Felton. But he's not a great card either. I mean, he's one of those guys who's just like decent, but not great. Missing a lot of defensive badges. Can kind of dunk wide open. Good shot, good release, but not good enough to be any higher than C tier. And then finally, Dwayne Wade is going to go in the A tier. Really, really good defensive PG. Really good slashing PG. Jumper's a little bit on the slower end, but he's got Pro 2 fade. Very solid card. Definitely A tier though, not S tier and not B tier. And I think that's a pretty solid list overall. Try to look in the B tier and see if there's anybody I'd move up or down at this point. Honestly, I don't really think so. I think this is a pretty fair list. I know the B and C tiers are a little bit oversaturated. Not a ton of guys in D tier, but I think this is a pretty fair list right now for the point guard position. So let me know in the comments what y'all think of this list. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content, or sorry, 2K content very, very soon. And I appreciate y'all. Peace.